So in here we have a Premnus clownfish, we have a beautiful pink-tailed trigger, and we have a dog-faced pufferfish. Okay, so here we have a coronator pufferfish, we have a sailfin tang, and we have a foxface. When fish are stressed, they will often have strange markings, and then when they are in full colour, this foxface will be a beautiful bright yellow. When you take a puffer fish out of water, he will puff up. When he's stressed, you'll notice him, oh, he's deciding not to puff. Okay, let's put him in. Oh, he didn't puff. Alright, that's fine. I've got another puffer fish to go. So he did not puff, so that means he did not stress. Now this fella, let's see. Yeah, hear that sound? That's him puffing. And now watch when I put him in like that. No, he didn't do it either. So they can actually puff up like a big ball when they're stressed. But they didn't actually stress, so that's good.
Okay, they're pretty comfortable.
Now this guy here, you do not want this guy to bite you, because he will remove whatever he bites.
Is he a piranha?
No, he's very, his jaws are strong enough to like bite through coral. And if he bites you, he'll bite a hole in whatever he bites. So you don't really want him to bite you. And this guy, you don't want him to spine you. I've been spined by these, they're not fun. They've got a poisonous spines on the top. This guy will end up like being like bright yellow. He'll be absolutely beautiful. That's his night or stress colors. Now, this fella's got a spine on the back of near his tail, so anyone has to be careful handling these fellas. You had one of these before, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah, they're wonderful, beautiful. I wonder if that's your one.
Maybe. He was smaller, the new one was smaller.
So pretty.
So yours was larger than that?
The old one was bigger than that, but the new one was smaller than that. So that might be a new one.
And here's Jason's
Don't you name it?
reject.
Oh, he's so happy.
See his tail? But he's actually got a really nice personality, this one. You
Call him
get to know him.
Don't want to like them for their looks, just their personality.
Oh, I think he's beautiful, but he's actually really friendly and really interactive. So now we have to give them a good month before we think about getting any more. Look at this fella. He looks like a fat hummingbird. Now, if you have a beautiful display marine aquarium, the best thing you could ever invest in is a quarantine tank. Now, a quarantine tank is basically just a very simple aquarium. You may as well make it look good. By the time we finish this, it'll look beautiful. And then you can put new fish into this. And then once they're established in here and they're happy, after 1 month, you can then make sure the water's correct, pH, temperature, and salt level to the main tank. Then you can just catch them out, put them straight into the main tank. You should not need to acclimatize them, assuming that those 3 parameters are correct. Because when you get a fish from the wild, it goes through a fair amount of stress. And in that time, between the collector, the distributor, the exporter, the importer, the retailer, changing all those hands can lower the immune system of the fish and make them able to get sick very easily. Then putting the fish into a quarantine tank allows the fish to settle down and allows their immune system to re-establish, meaning they get their antibodies back and their body slime comes back and their immune system re-establishes. Then once they're settled and they're feeding and they're happy, you can then put them into the main tank, because most problems you're ever going to have with a fish is in the first few weeks. That way you can nut that out, and then once you know they're happy and you can see they're settled in and you can see they're feeding, you can then put them in the main tank. And that way, if they were to have a problem, they have a problem in this tank where it's cheap and easy to treat, and so therefore the disease doesn't go into the other aquarium and potentially wipe out the other fish in your main tank. So I think a quarantine tank is a very, very important purchase for anyone with a nice display tank, or you're risking your fish every single time you put new fish in. This will minimize your risk. Now, establishing this aquarium, I've taken some established water from Majestic Aquariums, and then I have some established biomedia. So this is Marine Pure, and Marine Pure offers parallel nitrifying and denitrifying bacteria. And because this was taken out of our systems, this would actually be totally full of good bacteria. You don't really need to see it, but it's just going to bring all the bacteria in to help make sure that this system is established. And then I'll even pour this in. So this looks terrible, but that's all lots of very good bacteria, because that's all established out of our system. And this good bacteria will help to break down any waste from the fish and will very quickly stabilize the aquarium. So therefore, when the fish produce waste, the bacteria is able to break the waste. It's very common that when I sell a fish tank to someone, they'll think there's something wrong with their glass. And that will just be that there's bubbles all through the inside of the tank when you first set up a tank. So the bubbles just need to get knocked off. And then we just go like this. We just scrape off those bubbles, because the surface tension of glass at the start's very high. So we just go around, give the bubbles a bit of a clean. So this fella will just float around in here for the next month. This is a Sydney local, this fella, a stripey, to represent this J Corp, which is a Sydney local building company, and they've got a Sydney local fish to represent them in their fish tank. So this guy will just hang out in here for a month, providing he's happy and healthy for that month. He'll then get promoted into the big aquarium, and then all new fish moving forward will have to spend some time in here first, because if they were to get sick, we would rather them be sick in here and not sick in the main tank, where they can pass diseases onto the other tank. The other thing is, having a quarantine tank means that if any of your fish in your main tank get sick, you can just pull them out and quarantine them in here, where you can effectively medicate them. And I can't tell you how many people have a quarantine tank and then their main tank never gets sick. And then somehow, when they finally get rid of their quarantine tank because it's taking up space, or little Johnny wants it to put some fish in or something, once that's no longer available, within 2 weeks, somehow the fish gets sick. I don't know how that works. All the quarantine tank needs is somewhere for the fish to hide, a thermometer for checking the temperature, a heater for setting the temperature, and a filter. The filter must be cleaned out on a regular basis using water from the fish tank, not water from the tap. And then the filter must agitate the surface. And then you want to have an aerator as well as a backup. Whenever you get new fish, you don't want to feed them for the first 2 days. And then you just want to monitor them until they go into the main tank. With the quarantine tank, it's much better if the lights are out. This bright light, we've only just got on for now because it's all new and we want to look at it. But once the fish are established and when you're not looking at them, it's much better to have the light off, because it will stress the fish less. Now, whenever you add new fish, or whenever you're worried about your fish, adding a bit of Vogel is a very good idea. So Vogel is an immune system stimulant, and it helps to enhance the immune system of the fish by adding various minerals, vitamins, and so forth. And I actually find it works really well. Garlic Guard is a product that many believe also help to enhance the immune system and definitely enhance the appetite of your fish. So not a bad thing to add when you're adding new fish or if you're worried about your fish. Now these magnet cleaners are the best thing you'll ever buy because they clean the glass really efficiently with that blade.
Yeah.
But there's two things that we definitely don't want to do. One is get sand caught underneath it, which these ones are usually not a problem. You just need to shake it out like that. And we also don't want to go ramming into the side because if we ram into the side enough, we can damage the silicone, which would just weaken the silicone, which is not ideal. So if we just do that, we're fine, but don't take a big run off and ram into it. Otherwise, eventually you damage your silicone. And what a lot of people will do is have a second set of coral, and then what they'll do and what we can offer as a service is after a period of months, eventually these will not look as shiny and nice. So what we come when we do a service, we can just take these ones out, we can redecorate the tank so it can look totally different. Now that's good for your interest, but it's really good for the fish's interest because to the fish, this little box is their life. And if we swap everything around and make it different, it's like they've got a whole new world to explore. And then what we do is the ones that are not looking so good because they're getting a growth of algae on them, we'll put them in the sun and the sun will bleach all the algae off. Generally it takes about 1 day. Then I'll just turn it around and let it bleach the other side. Then I'll hit it with a hose, then it's good as new. And then we can just use those same corals last time, and we can then create a bit of a rotation amongst the corals. And that rotation means that the fish will never get bored, and it means that you will never get bored. Because with a fish tank, change is king.